President Kagame, you celebrated recently 20 years of peace and development, an extraordinary achievement. What lessons can you share with us which can be applied not only in your country, but across the continent to do what you have done in the last 20 years?
Thank you. Now, if you look at the growth rates across Africa that have been very impressive, the next thing is to say, how has this generated or improved the well-being of the people? So here we are talking about people, because you can easily also get growth rates by few companies, others doing so well, and which means they are doing so well, even the thinking might be doing well on behalf of others. But here we are not talking about doing well on behalf of others. It's not a zero-sum game. It's not a situation where people continue to grow at the expense of others or the others lose. I think we are talking about the principles of equity, equality, and how job creation is actually being achieved. And this means wealth. How does an ordinary person get involved to participate in these activities that also increase what they get as an income? This is what we are talking about. So this is what we have concentrated on in Rwanda, is to say, what is it that we are going to do, encourage the private sector to do the best thing they know how to do, and at the same time, draw in as many people as possible to participate. And so that with the growth we are going to see, it has a relationship with the difference it has made in people's lives. So the policies that have been put in place have this behind them, and the leaders have this political drive, because most of these activities or policies, if you will have to be driven by the understanding at the political level that this is what you want to target and this is what you want to achieve. So we have been learning that if we really concentrate on how much everyone gains without having losers, how many people you bring to participate in these activities, everybody is a winner, and you see growth that relates to the development of many as such. Of course, there will be challenges, but every time when you address the challenge while you're also looking at an opportunity that is related to that challenge, then you easily find the kind of improvement as we have seen. So it's about people. It's about how many does it reach and how many get their lives changed. So the contribution that results out of that as well is huge. If it is a business that impacts people, that means there is a feedback to the business from how people have been impacted, and that also has a tendency to improve the well-being of that business or the profitability of it, if you will, because of the empowerment that has come from or has been generated from these activities. So these are lessons we have learned, and these are things we have continued to try and do, but also target areas that reach many people. Like earlier we were talking about agriculture, we talked about trade, we talked about infrastructure to support all that. I will just give you an example. We found in between 2006 and 2011, by making the kinds of investments we made in agriculture, we reduced poverty by 14%. We lifted 1 million people out of poverty, because we knew agriculture affects many citizens Therefore, we invested with the people in such a way that they were able to have not only food security, but incomes from agriculture that made a difference for them. We're also talking about trade. Here we are talking about Africa and this growth of Africa. But you continue to see also how Africa is not necessarily working together across the board. So we discovered that intra-African trade has huge potential, but how much are we cooperating between and among nations of Africa to make sure that we allow this trade, which involves huge numbers in our populations, to improve their lives. So there are things we should not take for granted, but we know they also work, so we should make them work. This is how we are informed by what needs to be done, and we try and do what needs to be done. Thank you.
President Kagame, I think it's exactly what you have in mind in your policies to provide those fundamentals for economic growth. Could you just react rapidly on it?
Yes, that's very crucial. What Mr. Rice and many others have said is important. For example, in our case, we have invested in healthcare systems to make sure that every citizen, in fact, we have a successful healthcare insurance system that goes to every citizen. So healthcare part is important, so that every citizen is served well. 2 is education and training, including vocational and technical training, which has also been talked about. But overall, apart from the general basic things that are very important that should not be ignored, then we come to capacity in a general sense. One of individuals we have invested in education, in training, and so on and so forth, to be able to go out there and do what needs to be done in terms of skills. The other is building capacity of institutions to deliver on what needs to be delivered. In fact, here we have had different collaborations with different institutions. Just one case, we have worked with the Africa Governance Initiative, behind which there is the former Prime Minister of UK, Tony Blair. But this has just been to underscore the importance of capacity, even the businesses we are talking about. In Rwanda, we have tried to develop a business environment that addresses a number of issues that the panelists have already talked about. How does business benefit the investors, the people doing business who want to make their money? But at the same time, this business must also benefit the citizens. How does the linkage get created? It has to be created through capacities that have been developed, whether domestically or even from outside. We are not shy about bringing in capacity from outside to actually fill the gaps that exist in our own systems. This is how we have been approaching it. So businesses, many things said by the head of Oxfam, very, very true. Some of these things are done deliberately, the mistakes, because they benefit a few, but the others arise out of lack of capacity. There is lack of capacity. There is also people even who have capacity doing just the wrong things. So this is therefore why institutions matter. They must have capacity. The countries must have the kinds of skills required. This is what really in Rwanda we have been trying to focus on, and we have found there is good progress and benefits.